Welcome back to DNA Programs. Time for some more of those great motivational conversations we like to have, because it's your success at last DNA from yoursuccessatlast.com. That motivational oomph that you need every single day. That core inspirational building block is going to help you get what you need to get done. So, is it just me, or do the stories of kindness show up more and more during this time of year? You know the ones I'm talking about, the stories of hope and humanity and compassion. I really think they need to do way more of those stories throughout the entire year. But instead, they do the stories of sadness and fear and the news. Here's the thing I'm getting to. I know in my time in the catalog world, it seemed to me that the people in the office were in far higher spirits when they were working on the Christmas catalogs. Selecting the products, planning the quantities that we're going to be bringing in from around the world, then putting all those products together in those beautiful spreads on the pages. Then, of course, once it was sent out, that same joy and seasonal inspiration was felt by all the customers in seeing that hard work. And of course, by using the products, right? To decorate their homes, which in turn spread the joy to their friends and family. I mean, wouldn't it be awesome to have that level of joy throughout the entire year? Man, I would think it would just kick butt and take things. Well, you can. You really, really can. Before I go on, I want to get to, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Before I go on, like I was saying, I want to get to today's question. Today's question is, how are you using your talents? We're going to use this a little bit later in this episode, but I want you to think about, what are your talents and how are you using them in your world today? Are you a great communicator? Are you a great organizer? Are you a great scheduler? Are you great with numbers? Everybody has talents, and are you really tapping into them? I want you to think about that. If not while you're listening to this podcast, certainly after the podcast is over, really ponder your talents. All right, we all have them, and I want you to use them. So, as I asked earlier, I'm going to ask again. How you doing? Give you a moment to answer. Yeah, good. Awesome. I like to hear that. We got a couple of humbugs back in the back, but how's your season going? Yeah? Are you celebrating? Are you not celebrating? Are you on budget? Right? Over budget? Do you have one? Do you need one? Are you mellow? Are you stressed? Or maybe you're a little bit of above, depending on when the question is asked. I know for me, it can get really crazed leading into the season. As I mentioned just a little bit ago, being from the catalog world, it's really the bread and butter of the business. We spend lots and lots of time preparing and building a holiday line of product, preparing the catalogs, sending them out to the audience, and of course, inside the season, you'd be reading and reacting to the demands, or potentially the lack of demands, right? So there are things along that whole pathway that would need to be changed in order to get that to help with the running of the business. The little tweaks you'd have to make to smooth out the process, make it a bit less hectic, increase the service of the business, maybe increase the profit, and of course increase the level of service to your customers, right? So if you're caught up in the rush of the season, nothing seems to get changed. Right? But if there needs to be a change, if there's something inside of you that just isn't working for you, whether it's in your business, in your personal life, in your financial world, in your relationship, where there's just something that's just fundamentally out of whack, then perhaps it's time for you to think about it for real. Why don't you just sit down, pause, take a breath. I know it's a rushing season. Then maybe you'll do something about it, because I know you can. See, look, it really just begins with just that very thought that something needs to change. I'm not going to try and oversimplify this, but it really is pretty simple. Sometimes you really just don't have to do a ton of research or attend a bunch of webinars or go to 4 or 5 more seminars, except mine, of course, or any of that stuff. The key is, once that thought gets into your head that something needs to change, deal with it. And generally, if you're the type of person that listens to the show, and you're here listening, so I'm going to assume you are that type of person, once that thought gets into your head, you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to play it out one way or the other. Just the way it is. Because if that idea that something needs to change in your world gets into your head, it is just simply not going to go away completely until you do something about it. It'll be like that little annoying gnat buzzing around in front of your face and you can never quite swat away. Ladies and gentlemen, that is life. That's what there is to it. I mean, now you know what life is. Here's the thing. I forewarned you yesterday we're going to be getting a little deeper this week. I gave you the woo-woo warning, right? Because down here, in this little depth right here, is really where my rubber hits the road. It's where I like to shine the most. Because really, it's where I like to spend time with folks. And I can be most effective for them, and I can be most effective for myself. So I want to share a little bit of that with you this week. Because here's the thing. Every single time that I have ever taken the minutes, and it's usually just minutes, to pause and think like this, I've been able to change my world. All right. You can spend all kinds of time on tricks and tactics and methods out there to make your life better. And I've done it. And it's easy. There's a lot of great tips and techniques, and I use a lot of them, and I teach them to you here. But it's easy to let your life get off track and away from your success atlas, your path to success, because those tricks are so easy. And you could start to drift almost mindlessly. Again, because the tricks work. And you can fool yourself or get fooled by them by not, again, taking the breath, stepping back, saying, all right, and how would I feel about what's going on? See, so when I come back to this deep down thinking, everything will change. Everything can change. That's when I find my true happiness. Here's the deal, and you've heard me say this before. You're probably going to hear me say it a whole number of more times. Ooh, that was good speaking, right? Life is about your experience. You know that, right? Of course you do, right? So that is why I want your thinking to be based on your experience. And this is a great time to do that. Actually, now is the best time to do it. See, not too long ago, actually, it was really recently, I was having a moment, he says with air quotes with his fingers. A moment where I was pondering things and having some troubles, working myself through things. And this is a moment I would have normally called my best friend Robbie. And I would share that moment with him, get his insights and his untainted view. Now, Robbie's is a view I have always trusted, and have always trusted completely, because 1, he always had my back, and he always had my best interests at heart. 2, he knew me inside and out. He knew parts of me that sometimes I didn't want to see. And 3, he was very willing to say, 1, way to go, and 2, smack me upside the head and look at me and say, you're a dummy. Right? But as many of you know, he's gone. So I couldn't, call him up and talk to him. But rather than weep and mourn more for his loss, I paused and literally started talking to him anyway. Started sharing with him. And then, crazy as it may sound, I could hear his words of wisdom. Luckily, this particular moment, it wasn't a slap upside your head moment. That could have been a little bit strange. It might have been like a movie. Anyway. Was it the same? Nah, of course not. It's never going to be the same. But I could smile a little bit, and not just in my face, but in my heart, and take solace in the fact that I've learned from him and learned from our 40 plus years of being a friend. I found a way to bring a little bit of joy out of that moment. Here's the thing. I want you to find a reason. Find a way to enjoy the experiences, all the experiences along the way, even at the smallest level. And on that, I want to add to that, do not take caca from people or from life just to get to the good things. I want you to mandate from your experiences some good at some level. And I want you to, and if there are people out there that are just not being nice to you, tell them to stop it. Yeah? Oh, okay. I know. I get it. There are going to be some people where you might have to modify your language a little bit, say it a little nicer, but there's always a way to say, hey, dummy, be nicer to me or don't talk to me at all. It's not too difficult to figure out a way to say that. You can get the message across, even in a PC manner. All right. Now, there are those out there that have trouble figuring out A, what they want, or B, what they want to do out of life. Are you one of those? It's okay to be one of those. Not a problem. I got friends and colleagues and clients that come to me and say things like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, or I don't know what I want from my life. It's not too difficult to figure out. Today, well, here, let me before I go there, let me just back up and tell you. The one question I always ask these folks, eventually, if not right away, is, what are you doing right now? And the reason I ask that is because there is something that you're doing right now, today, this very minute, somewhere in your life, you're spending time and money on something that is important to you in some form or fashion, and you're getting what you want or need from it. And if you're doing it now, and you've been doing it for quite some time, it is really important to you. So let me be really honest with you here. Sometimes these things are the results of habits. But here's what I've found out. If you truly dislike something, and you're not getting anything from it, odds are it's not going to be forming into a habit. You're not going to form this long-term habit if you're A, not getting anything out of it, and B, dislike it entirely. All right? Those two qualifiers, you're probably not forming a long-term habit out of it. All right, so if you want to figure out what you want out of life and what you want to do, look at what you're doing. It may be in your business, it may be in your relationship, it may be your hobbies. Okay? Here's why I say that. Here's the deal. The very way that you live your life creates the values by which you live your life. So the longer you do whatever it is that you're doing, you're literally remolding yourself from the inside out. And that can be for the good or for the bad. If you start traveling down that criminal path and you keep doing it, your values will start to veer towards the dark side. Oh, Luke, don't go towards the dark side. But if you start veering the other way, we probably have heard the stories or know people who've done it. They've been on the dark side. They started changing their life. And literally, their values began to change as a result. See, here's the thing. Like you, I have worked at places or with people that had me doing things I just didn't quite feel good about. And every time I had to do something that at a core level, it didn't feel right, I could feel it, right? It just, I don't like this. So if I wanted to feel better about my life, or in the case of my work, I would have to change the process. And if I couldn't change the process inside the business, I was going to have to leave the business if I wanted to be happy. Or I would never be happy, right? Because, you just can't change at the core level overnight. So you would spend the time being unhappy until your values change. All right, so, sorry, didn't mean to bump the microphone there. So, I would, or you would have to change what you did or what you do. So just like you, if you want to change, you will have to change your process or change what it is you do. Does that make sense? Because let me come back to it. What you're doing is serving you in some way. It's your life. And you're living it today. You're living it right now. And if you continue to do what it is you're doing, you're getting something out of it. You don't like your job? Perhaps you keep doing it because you need the money. All right? Start to make that change. It's your life. Like I said, you're living it today, not tomorrow, not yesterday. Yesterday's already gone and you've already learned from it. You're not living the life that you're thinking about or that you're dreaming. You're living the life you're living right now. Right? I mean, literally, in this very moment, you're listening to this, that in the very moment that you're listening to this episode, you could be thinking to yourself, is this worth it? I mean, is it worth it listening to this right now? Well, the answer is yes to that, of course. Well, that's my personal opinion. You'll have to make your own opinion. All right, I can hear you. I'm battling just a little bit here, but here's the thing. Many of you are going, yeah, okay, I get it, Tracy. There are things I'm doing that I can do better. I can use my talents, but how do I start? Well, you start with yesterday's question. Yesterday's question was, how do you feel? Right? How do you feel about the results that you're getting right now? How do you feel about your current results, and are you okay with them at your core? And if you are, keep right on doing what you're doing. All right? Maybe do a little bit better, find a little tweak to make it shine a little bit more, to get more of those good feelings. Yay. All right? See, how is it feeling to you? That's the key question. It's not right or it's not wrong, or it is right or it is wrong. Period. There's no gray area. People don't steal because it's right. They steal for a reason. They're getting something out of it. People don't give for no reason. They give because it makes them feel good. So both sides of that coin, they do because of the feeling they're getting out. They're getting something out of it. Now, I know your answer may be shadowed by how long you've done it, but you, and only you, can be honest with yourself about how you truly feel about what you're doing. The next thing you want to do is you could use today's question, which is, how are you using your talents? Right? How are you using your talents to make it better? Right? Perhaps you can ask yourself something like, how can I change with the end in mind? How can I use my talents to get me to the goal I want, which is the end? So how can I change with the end in mind? For example, are you out of shape? Right? I know most people aren't thinking about that right now. They'll be thinking about it in January with their New Year's resolutions. But if you're out of shape, what adjustments can you make in your schedule to get yourself to the gym more often? What little adjustments can you make to your diet? These little adjustments can have an impact over a long period of time. Or what adjustment can you make to just start walking a little bit more? Right? Are you texting people inside your office? Stop. Get up, walk over to their desk, talk to them, and walk back. You've already started walking a little bit more. I want you, and you should be moving closer to what you want every single day. Yep, that's right. Every single dang day. Here's the deal. You were born, and you begin to grow physically. You should be doing the same thing with your life as well, making progress and growing every single day. If you're not growing, yeah, well, you know the rest to that one. If you're not moving towards that goal that's in your heart, and I know you have one, I tell you to have one all the time, or if your life isn't starting to look like you want it to look, then how can you ever be happy on the path that you're currently on? Like I said, you're supposed to grow in your life. That's what it's all about. You're going to be, and it's going to be full of changes. Big changes, little changes, small changes, fat changes, skinny changes, tall changes, all these changes. But if you're staying stagnant, or those changes are pulling you away from your heart's goal, then think about what you have to change. It's your life, and it's your life now, and it's going to stay the same unless, you change it. Okay. Heck, I'm in a constant state of fluid change, you might say, but I'm the same at my core. But even as I say that, I think about my core has changed over the past decade, 2 decades, and that's a good thing. So basically, it's how do you feel about your current results today? How do you feel about them this very minute? And what changes do you need to make? And how do you use your talents to get the results you want tomorrow? And as for tomorrow, we're going to talk about habits. You have habits? Yeah, of course you do. I guess the more honest question for this case would be, do you have any bad ones? Do you want to dump them? Yeah, all right. We're going to spend some time talking about that tomorrow and kind of picking up from this show and continuing it on for you, because often the process that we're in is a habit. And if you need to change it, well, that's going to be doing something different instead, right? Changing that potentially habitual process to keep you moving forward. I'll see you then. Think successfully. Take action. Bye-bye.